Hello, Miami. You're watching 305 Sports Now, your home podcast and channel for all things Miami sports related. I am Will.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want, and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to 305 Sports Now. Once again, I am your host, Will, and today I have a very special guest on today, and I'm going to read the actual name of the high school that he is from. Okay, he attended William H. Turner Technical Arts High School. Turner Tech, dude. Okay, it's Turner Tech. All right? That's what we call it. Okay, he was also a defensive back over for the West Virginia Mountaineers from 2008 2013, and he will be talking a lot about football, his time, playing for the Mountaineers, his time at Turner Tech, and then we're going to break off a little bit for part two, right? Part two for his life after football, and also how faith and family go together with his coaching. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, bringing on none other than Mr. Head Coach Lawrence Smith. Hey, Coach, how's it going?
What's up? What's up, Will? How you doing, brother?
All right, so how did I do with the full name of Turner Tech? How did I do with that one? How did I do with that one?
It just for those for Google search purposes, But not awesome.
Well,
Turner Tech is the name. That's what I
yeah,
go
no,
by.
absolutely. That's all we all know it as. To be honest with you, that's all we all know it as. Okay, so I want to tell the audience that how we met. Okay, so first things foremost, we met coincidentally, and it was kind of funny because we were at the YMCA Aquatic Center over in Pembroke Pines, and we were on water slides. Both our kids were on the water slides. Our wives were on the water slides as well, every so often, but talking to each other as well. They had their girl talk, we had our guy talk, as well. And Coach Smith kept beating me in the water slide. Okay, but every single time he gave me a tip, on how to fasten my slide, he adjusted his tip to something else he knew. So he must have beat me like 5 or 6 times sliding down the slide. So I got my tail whipped quite a few times by Coach. But then again, I'm not gonna lie, my wife also beat me sliding down the slide. There's something I need to work on. But I think that slide was like a little iffy, when I was going down the waterway.
I think so, right? I think so. It either got faster when I got on it, or just I was giving you the wrong tips.
Oh, you definitely flew down there. I'll tell you that much. You definitely flew down there, man. So yeah, so we got to talking, and we got to talk about his history as a football player, and I found his story remarkable, and I'm like, bro, I gotta get you on, man. Gotta get you on. You gotta share your story with 305 Sports audience and also the rest of YouTube. So, Coach Smith, your football career really blossomed at Turner Tech. I'm gonna call it Turner Tech on here. Sorry, really blossomed at Turner Tech. You're a defensive back over there, and you play with some notable names. And can you please let us know a little bit about the history of your days over at Turner Tech playing football?
Yeah, most definitely. With Turn Tech being a magnet program who
Hmm.
doesn't have any sports activities at all, I was fortunate to able to play my home school, Miami Norland,
Okay.
and playing at Miami Norland. I got to see a couple guys come through there. I got to play with what's his name, AB Antonio Brown. He was my quarterback my freshman year. Dude was a sophomore, yeah, sophomore year in high school. He was a quarterback, starting quarterback, running a 4.4. Nike combine. He's competing with no cleats on. He want to run his 40 with no cleats on. I got on the other side. I got Xavier Rhodes. We played Optimist football together. End up playing at Norland together as well. Play both played defense and offense both ways. So really competed and pushed each other. And a couple more names that came from there. We got Lester Jean. End up going out playing for Houston and making a big name there. Play wide receiver, 6'4", 6'5" guy. We had a lot of big names coming out of that school around that time. And this is after we won maybe a state championship a couple years before, so still had a little of that glory dust on there. So you got to play with some good guys like that at Miami Norland. And we transitioned from there. Got guys like who played at Norland but transferred to Pace. Kayvon Webster, real good buddy of mine, and we connect often and do a couple projects together here in Miami. While I'm coaching, or if he got a camp going on, we'll link up and do things together like that. But Kayvon Webster, another dude, played played the Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos. With Peyton Manning. So played with some couple good guys out there. Whether they stayed at New Orleans or went to another school, or we played against each other in college, like Kayvon. We played against each other. University of South Florida, WVU, big rivalry. So that was pretty awesome playing with dudes like that at home, and going off to college and playing against them and seeing them in the league. I'm in West Virginia. I had Stedman Bailey from Miramar.
Yeah.
Him and Geno Smith. They go on out there hanging out with Tony and Brown in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh, driving over and working out. I'm like, shoot, I missed the workout. Hold on. But being able to have that opportunity to network with those guys and compete and push each other to get better was awesome. Especially just the same thing with getting West Virginia, all the guys from Miami, Florida, period, on the roster, and that that camaraderie to build with each other, but also compete because we know, hey, this Florida, this is the way we play football down here. So it was a certain level of expectation that came from the guys, and it was awesome, man.
Yeah. So when you're playing over at Norland, who are your toughest who are the toughest players you ever went up against? Being a defensive back over for Norland, because you face some heavy competition at that school, because that school plays the creme of la creme. So, can you name a few names that really gave you some difficult times over there? In your playing days.
Ooh, oh man, that's some good names. I mean, we played against what was his name? Doug Wiggins. Dewitt Wiggins. He was actually highly recruited from UM as well. Came out of North Miami Beach around that year. I think Doug came out '07, '06, maybe. I came out '08. He was very tough. He played safety and quarterback for North Miami Beach, and that's when them guys had a 25-man roster, and the boys was in shape. They played both ways, and they was physical. I think that's one of the physical players I got to play against. Alfonso Bryant, he played at Homestead. They had a big time recruits. He was a big time recruit from UM as well. I played against him. That was awesome. Um, on the field wise, who else I played against? I think my mind went blank, but got to play against and train with 7-7 wise with guys like Tommy Schreeder,
Mhm.
Ja'Cory Harris, Darius Johnson, and the man and Tommy Schreeder actually went to high school together. Actually,
Yeah.
Turner Tech. So that's where that relationship fostered. And Ja'Cory Harris, he played with a couple of guys I knew from around the neighborhood, and so we worked out and did a couple 7-on-7s and things like that. And yeah, Ja'Cory, he pretty good quarterback. I picked him off though, but very good quarterback. And I seen that right before we left for college, man. So guys like that, I got to actually play with on backyard basis, or at the parks. Who else? I mean, I played against some animals, man. It's so many. You got Robert Sands. I'm gonna say some of the guys I know that for sure. Robert Sands, Carol City,
Mhm.
6'5", safety, running a 4.4, 4.5, 40 in high school. Um, long jumping out of the gym. He's going to state championships from long jump. Big dude, big tackler. That's somebody I compete against as a free safety. It was huge, man. You got this dude over here about 2 or 3 5 miles away, 6'5", 200 pounds, 190, and he's like a specimen. And I'm over here, I'm 5'10", 155. But I had to put out and I had to be productive as a free safety and on defense. So I had to have that honey badger mentality. So guys like Robert Sands, man, it was a pleasure competing against him and then to go and play college football with him. You know, my coach was like, look, man, Robert Sands, some people just got it. He got the size. He's 6'5". He got the features. He said, but you don't. So some people got it and some people don't. And if you don't got it, gotta work at it, baby. You gotta work harder. So Robert Sands was a good dude I played against, competed against as well. Alan Hearns played on that team. at Carroll City. He's a big UM guy as well. Alan Hearns. Shout out to him. I played Pee Wee ball with Alan Hearns right at North Dade, right out there at Norland. That was my quarterback. I was his tight end. So
Wait, Alan Hearns was a quarterback?
Alan Hearns was my quarterback. He
Really?
played one. This is about 135. He was
Okay.
about 135s, and he was the quarterback. Alan Hearns, man, cool dude, fast, smooth, same way he is now. Real smooth dude, good people. But yeah, that was my quarterback. Little bit tight end, pass, pop. We was getting busy out there.
Yeah. I, the last memory I have of Alan Hearns, unfortunately, was Josh Rosen hanging him out to dry and him getting clocked. I think it was against Dallas.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was pretty rough, man. But I was so happy when he became a Dolphin. I'll tell you that much.
I
But
was
man,
too.
I was very happy. I mean, he came home, but man, that game, just Josh Rosen. That's the reason why Josh Rosen is was a bust. Man, he just left him hanging. And Allen obviously knows is a competitor. He went for the pass though. He went for the ball, and
Yep.
he got his head taken off. Man, the poor guy. In that game. So you mentioned, I want to follow up on something you said. You mentioned you played 7-on-7 with some of these guys. Did you ever imagine how much 7-on-7 is now blown up? It's become now televised recently because of the amount of recruits that are now getting, especially these 5-star blue chippers, are now getting involved in the process.
Right, right. And back then, it was more us recreational.
Hmm.
You knew homeboys, or hey, you guys play for Norland, you guys play for North Miami Beach, Carol City. Let's go. Let's meet up at the park, mutual friends, and so that's how that pretty much started for us. So it was just a way to compete and get better. Our way of training. We don't really want to do drills, so we rather train with each other. So, um, now looking at it with it when it comes down to it, uh, I'm not a big fan of 7-on-7 and seeing, playing college football. We did a lot of 7-on-7 in practice. So you get used to it and you see that it's somewhat biased towards offense.
Yeah.
Defense,
Hmm.
you can't be as physical as a DB. And me being a DB and coaching offensive guys, yeah, I'm going to keep it 100. I'm going to keep it 100. No, it's not as fair. But it is a good show right now. It is blowing up. So I'm not going to be too hard on it, but I think that we always got to remember it comes back to the pads.
Hmm.
So it looks good. It's good work. I think it's great for quarterbacks, receivers, timing. It's great for DBs to get a feel of the field without working on your technique and things like that nature. I think it's excellent in that part. But now, like the exposure that it has, I think it's gonna go to a level that, hey, are we replacing tackle football with with 7-on-7? Like, I mean, you're gonna see some great stuff out there. So I think it's good. Not far as a recruiting tool, that's where the discrepancies can lay, the pros and cons about that. But I think it's good exposure, so I'm not gonna knock it. But I don't like the kids to be so gun ho on it. Like, no, you got to train still. Like
Yeah.
your feet, you got to regular your feet work. So it's awesome to see it get to that level now. And it's great for those kids who starting off and may not be ready for pads. So it's a good transition. I see a lot of fathers doing that as well, transitioning their sons into tackle football, saving themselves from preventive injuries, exposing them to more tackling, concussions, and all that stuff. So I think it's great in that way. But it's to each his own. I think that one is really to each his own on that one.
Yeah, some of the old schoolers, they appreciate it because of the athleticism that you see, especially
Right.
with these young men. But they don't think it's realistic to how they will be on game day. So that's a little bit of the criticism that some people don't like about 7-on-7. It's good for quarterbacks, I will say, because they get to work with some of the more elite athletes. They could
Right.
work on their accuracy because of the speed of the game and so on, how quick it is. So the release has to be quicker, the timing has to be better because they're
Hmm.
not in cleats, they're not in pads. But nonetheless, you're right. I totally agree with you. If you're a defensive tackle, it's a little hard, to play 7-on-7 because it's such a fast paced game.
Right.
In particular, but it is fun to watch. I can't lie. I do like to see some of the highlights on social
Right.
media. But I mean, it has blown up though. It really has. All right. So I wanted to get your take on that. But you graduate from Turner Tech. Okay, you go graduate to Turner Tech. you entered West Virginia, the Mountaineers, as a walk on or as a walk on defensive back. So I want to ask the question: why did you choose West Virginia, and what was it like walking on that school?
I chose West Virginia one day. I was sitting back watching some college games, and I was a big college football fan at that time. I mean, I watched guys through the process, and so watching West Virginia, I just seen it one day, and it was I heard the announcer or the analyst say he was talking about the walk-on program there and how. They were very appreciative of their walk-ons, and some guys had gotten scholarships and even played and went further. So that drew my interest, and I looked into the school, the different programs they offered, graduate programs of that sort, and I seen the forensics program. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm out, man. I'm trying to be an FBI agent and play football. So I was like, yeah, I'm go to West Virginia, and I applied and I got in and looked at some other colleges and looked at some local colleges, like FAMU and historical black colleges as well. But when I remember, I didn't get no letters from them recruiting wise, so I say I'd rather go take my time somewhere and try
Absolutely.
out. And after getting accepted, man, I made that promise to my mom. I said, hey, look, give me a chance. I'm gonna get you a scholarship. So she said, okay. Um, so that summer, man, I worked out with my track coach. Uh, ran every day, every Tuesday, Thursdays, and then my other track coach, he actually played football at West Virginia. Coach Johnson played running back actually at West Virginia. He played with Doc Holliday at West Virginia at that. So I had an inside dude who's really gonna give me the scoop and get me prepared for it. Worked out, lift weights every day with him, and man, I went and tried out that first week of school, that Wednesday, they had the walk-ons to come try out. I think about 80 kids out there that morning, and we did drills. We warmed up. We did 40. We vertical. We did DB drills, skill position drills, and things of that sort. And man, I lit it up. And once we finished at the end, we had suicides. 5, 10, 15, touch and come back. And the first two, I beat everybody by 5 yards, all the DBs.
Oh wow.
All the DBs, man. The whole summer I just worked on the track, and I gained 10 pounds of muscle, but I kept my speed.
Hmm.
Man, that last one, the actual scout team coach walks up to me. He says, "Look, you better beat them the last time. This third rep, you better beat them the same way you beat them the last couple times." So I looked at her, and they just kicked in. I was like, "Man, I'm from Miami. Like, don't challenge me." So I beat everybody by 10 yards. That last rep, I beat everybody almost 10 yards, man. On the suicide, I was gone. I was determined to make my mark and get on the squad, and that was it. Later on that day, we came back and checked out, see who made the squad, and out of those, 80 kids or more, they only took five, and I was one of those five. And so after that, it was just history, man. It was a privilege. I walked on, I was hungry, and I say, look, I got to get on this squad. I got to travel. I got to get the jersey with my name in the back. Man, it's rough. Like going into that locker room, and I was even in the locker room with the team, the scout team guys who just walked on. We was in the traveling locker room, so we had the old raggedy lockers, like the ones you see on the high school campus, but you didn't have the luxurious seat with your number and all that. So once I got in that room as a walk on, I said, okay, look, this step number one, I got to get to that other room. Okay, camp. I came in at the camp and everything, so all I had to do was just work my butt off. So I'm working my butt off and throwing practice, running down to the field on scout team with kickoff, things of that sort. And what took off for me was one day in practice we doing kickoff, and I'm flying down the field and I make a big hit on the starting kickoff team, and the head coach looked at me, Coach Bill Stewart. He was a walk on himself, and he says, come here, man. And we had a conversation. And after that, that was it. I just played my butt off and made the travel squad by the third week of the season, third or fourth week of the season. I was on the travel squad. And unfortunately, that same week, got chop blocked by one of the tackles coming off the end, scout team blitzing from safety position. Chop blocked me, cut blocked me, and I had a sprained MCL for the rest of the year.
Oh
And
man.
Yeah, so it sucked, but I was off to a nice start. For a kid, just walked on and making the travel squad the fourth week. I was on a mission, man, name in the paper and everything, but gave me an opportunity to redshirt and allow the game to come to me and make that transition, which was it's a difficult transition as a walk on and being a kid in a program where you played and you're a program player. You're gonna buy into the program. You're gonna work. So now you got to do the same thing here. It's another process, but it was a beautiful thing walking on up there and the reception of even the players, man. Like Pat White, it was built an awesome relationship with him. He's walking up to me after we going on break. We was in cover two, well, cover one, cover three. Yeah, I think cover one. He throws a post or a corner, a post corner, to West Lions, 6'8", 6'8" dude from PA, wide receiver. Throws it to West Lions, and I break from the middle of the field, and I deflected the ball. He comes over to me, says, "Man, where you from?" I said, "I'm from Florida." He said, "No wonder you so dang fast." And you gotta imagine with his country Alabama accent, man. It was so funny. I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, you one of them Florida boys. You from Miami?" I was like, "Yeah." And talking to guys like him, Pat White, Reed Williams, who are veterans on the team, big names, and hearing and how they will watch you as a walk on, how you play the game. Noel Devine, man, guys like him, Jock Sanders, they used to mess with me because on scout team I used to give it to them, but they loved it though, and so they expected had a certain expectation being a kid from Florida who was hungry, and they all pushed me, man. And what the funny part is like just even me getting there, man, it was awesome. I was uh I was like, man, I need to find some inside information how to do this walk on thing. So I reached out to a guy. His name is Q. We call him Q. Is Quentin Andrews. He played at Pace. He played at Pace down here in Miami. Um, and he was up there playing safety. And so, I had already had my school email address and everything like that. And so, it's assigned by your name and everything. So I was like, man, I need to reach out to Q Andrews. I need to find out some information. He from Miami. He from Pace. He gonna help support another young man trying to play ball. Excuse me, from Miami. So I reached out to him. I emailed him, and it was a 1 in a million chance for me to get the email right because who knows how many Q Andrews are on campus, you know. So emailed him, and I said, "Hey, bro, I'm walking on. Here's my highlight tape I made." Sent it to him. He's like, "I like, let me know what you think. I'm gonna walk on playing DB. Help me out. Give me any information." And I said, I told him I was coming out to my orientation to check out the school, and I can come by the if I can come by the field, I appreciate that. He writes me back, email me, say, hey, yeah, come through. I got you. Here's my number. Call me when you come. Come to practice. We practice on this day. I pulled up. They're out there on 707. So me and my dad, we sit in the stands and we watch them practice. And dude gave me the scoop from there. And once I walked on, took me under his wing at the safety, and there's another kid from Miami. Make sure I was straight. So, like, that's a blessing. Like, I was like, man, that's a 1 in a million chance. Like, so I to look at the emails and be like, man, like I reached out to that dude. That dude, you know, look after me, hooked me up, and I got to play. And we both from the same city. What's actually funny, Will, I seen him last week at a Tropical Smoothie Cafe right here on 27th Avenue.
Oh,
Seen the
really?
same dude. Yeah, same guy. We right here in Miami together, man. Uh, I just seen him the other day, and I told him we got to link up and do some things. Quentin Andrews, great dude. So that's how I got there.
That's awesome. So, oh my gosh, how much field time did you see while you were as a walk on? How many games did you play in? Teams you played against, and so on.
Oh, okay. My freshman year, so I already got redshirt, so I didn't end up
Mm-hmm.
playing that year. My sophomore year, I started the first 3 games. Man, we got to play some good guys. Coastal Carolina, we played ECU, we played a couple awesome schools. So my sophomore year, I got some field action. Um, where we went to Auburn, right? So this is like the third game of the season. This is what 2008. So I'm 2008, 2009. So man, we in Auburn, and I'm like, I'm in love because it's my first road game. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. So we're while we at the stadium, we're there, and so I'm looking at the stadium like, yo, this is different from Big East stadiums. Like
Mhm.
that wall over there is mighty short. Like these the crowd, they want to come on the field, they want to storm the field, they can storm the field. And so I never really understood as a young man watching college football, how could how could they storm the field? SEC schools, they could storm the field. It's low. And just being in that atmosphere and that crowd, like it was amazing. So I got to play there, and well, man, we go out there for what it was, special teams is right before game, pregame warm ups and everything. And so I'm lost. I'm out there, I'm looking around, I'm lost in the atmosphere, and they calling for me on punt. and I don't hear it because I'm with the Florida boys and we taking in all the hype, we hyped up. And Bill Stewart's like, if you don't get your butt over here, boy. I'm like, oh gosh. But so it was amazing playing in schools like that, Auburn. My red shirt what is sophomore year, I got to play against LSU. Down in LSU, I got to play at Connecticut. I've played at Louisville, played against Teddy Bridgewater. A couple of those guys out there, Michael Lee Harris, dude I played with from Miami Northwestern as well. Could have been a Kane. Could have been a Kane. Um, Played with a couple of those guys out there, and that was awesome. My red shirt junior year, man, and sophomore year, it was great. I got to played the full season, competed on kickoff, punt, punt return. So I got in the mix a lot. When it came to defense, I was a part of the third down package, so I go in as an extra safety, or maybe sub in as a corner. So that was good. Got some experience there in a couple games as well. I definitely specialized in special teams while I was at West Virginia. So big games. We played at LSU down in Baton Rouge. That was awesome. Getting to compete with those guys, guys who in the league now. Odell Beckham, he's part of that squad. The other receiver, Landry, he was there when I was playing, competing. So different guys like that. I'm watching film on and like, oh, if I get in, I gotta stick these guys.
Mhm.
Patrick Peterson, I mean, he's the punt returner. He took it to the crib on us. But I kind of was mad at my coaches because I'm like, if you put me at the gunner, you took me out at gunner at the wrong moment. I'm it's a Florida boy. You gotta send a Florida boy to get a Florida boy. So that was my attitude, man. But playing at playing at LSU, I like that was probably one of my favorite games, man. I get to compete on guys on another level, and they big and fast.
Mhm.
Like I mean, I was thinking a white dude as a gunner, and I'm talking about the fastest white dude I ever met in my life. Listen, that dude was running. He ain't running 4.4. He ran a 4.3.
Yeah, those
uh,
SEC guys are built differently, man. They really are. They really are. Whether it's Bama, LSU, Auburn,
oh
Ole
yeah,
Miss, like they feed them. I don't know what they feed them. I mean, they're feeding, but they're eating the same way here at the U now because Mark Cristobal likes that body type and he's trying to transition that
yeah.
over to the Canes. But those SEC guys, they already look like they're in the NFL by the time they're sophomores there. So it's unbelievable.
Most definitely, man. I made a tackle on kickoff, a big play after halftime, and they was watching me. I didn't even know that they was really watching me like that on kickoff. And so after I made the tackle, made a big hit on the outside line, we kicked it off again. We scored, kick it off, and so we kicked it again. They say, okay, well, we're gonna run to your side. We're not gonna run away from you. We're gonna run to you. And man, they set me up. They had that dude come from one side and they crisscross and they linked up and do the blocking, which is now illegal in
Yeah.
the NFL. Um, oh man, they set me up. And the dudes, they 6'2", 195, 205 pounds, cornerback, safety type guys, and they was running. And so it's like it's awesome to see how the difference in the different divisions, SEC, ACC, Big East, Big 12, Big 10, you're gonna see different sizes, how they train, how they lift weights, being more finesse or being more power, physical speed. Everybody's working at those different angles. It's interesting to see how UM and Mario Cristobal. switch up the program to be more of a hybrid so that they can
Hmm.
fit with that power, but also use the speed. That's what Miami's known for, speed. So you having that great combination, it definitely makes a big difference. And it starts up front with them big boys.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's why we just picked up two guys that are like still juniors and they're 300 and 330 pounds, over in the offensive line. And we're Gavin Nix is a linebacker. He's 6 feet, 225 pounds, but he's chiseled like stone, man. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, so that's the body type that the Canes are looking for right now. That body type that used to kill you, in special you were when you were out there.
Man, those the big boys.
Yeah, they are. No, they absolutely are. But you got a lot of playing time. Or at least you got some run as a walk on, which is a lot of you hear a lot of walk ons not being used the way you were used out of West Virginia. So you were able to do that. But you had a difficult start at first, and from
Right.
what we talked about, walk ons aren't treated the same as, like you said, traveling players or scholarship guys as well. That's a little that there seems to be somewhat of a shift we're seeing in college football right now with NIL and the transfer portal. You who played in an era where that really didn't exist, in many cases, you stuck it out if your coach left. How do you
Right.
see the future of college football moving forward? Do you think it's a positive, or do you think it's a negative, or a bit of a mix of both?
Uh, I would say it was more of a negative than a positive in some ways. But it's one of those ones where you're juggling so much you can't really put a definitive answer of whether it's positive or negative.
Mhm,
Um, it's based on experience. It takes maybe a 2 years to really to see if something has an upward or downward trend, and then start to look at the sociological effects of it. And I think it's the sociological effects on it is terrible because it's not promoting collegiate athletes. It's promoting more of a business. So
mhm,
me being an athlete and a walk on, like I had an opportunity to go to Bethune, and my dad was like, "Yo, just walk on out there. Hey, you're not getting the respect or the accolades and the treatment you deserve as a walk on. You're not eating with the team after practice because of certain NCAA compliance rules, and things of that nature. You can travel with the squad, but come back home, you don't eat, or you practice all day, you can't eat. You got to pick whether you're going to study hall or you're going to child, like things of that nature. So now the kids are having the opportunity, they're getting paid, they're getting compensated, they have the ability to generate funds and revenue off of their image, likeness, and things of that sort, which I'm part of that class who did get uh some type of retribution for class, your image and likeness being used by NCAA and video games and stuff of that nature. So I definitely understand and I recommend it. I do think the kids should be compensated for their image and likeness, and especially if it's going to be run like a business. Yes, if it's now collegiate sports are ran in a different way to be more protecting the amateur status and protecting the kids and making sure that it's student athlete base and promoting that, then yes, then the NI deals and stuff of that nature is that much more of a distraction. Imagine a kid saying, "Hey, I gotta call my manager. I gotta call my peoples and see. I have an interview today, or I gotta do this tomorrow. I got a flight on the weekend. You missing practice, or you got interviews, you got things like that. So you got other distractions now from school and football, and the things that's really making you your bread and butter. I wonder how the kids work that out. That'd be interesting. So that's my perspective on from a negative view of that. Um, but I think the kids deserve it, man. Getting $1,000 a month to pay for rent and food, and that's not enough. We can look at the statistics of how many athletes are in trouble for other things, involving in whether they're just making bad decisions or that's something that they was used to in their lifestyle, they're not worth compensated. There wasn't enough to go around. The kids was, I've seen players and dudes I would hang out with, they they had to have come up with a little extra funds at the end of the month. So I appreciate seeing these guys get these deals and they're able to make that money, from basketball to football, it's so it's awesome to see, but it's like, hey, it's gonna be a business, man, and I wouldn't recommend it. I don't think in the long run it'll be something that'll be beneficial for the sport. May take away the love for the game. We
Hmm.
got to remember, college people love to watch college football more than they watch NFL. It's
Yeah.
more action. You're gonna
Hmm.
see things go down. Why? Because we're not concerned of preserving our career. We're trying to get a career.
Yeah.
But if I maintain or if I achieve a career in the luxury and the lifestyle and the finances here in college, no, I'm gonna preserve myself to somewhat. Let me go get this $1 million insurance because because the money I'm making right now, if I don't make it in the pros do or something happen, I gotta compensate myself. I gotta make sure I'm taken care of in the meantime. So I think that is big. It goes the mindsets. These kids' mindset is gonna be on something different now. I can't just focus on football. I gotta focus on how to make all this work. Does it add more pressure? Does it add more stress? We gotta think about those things of that nature. So I really question how will it affect everybody as a long run. And some kids ain't gonna get no money. You ain't gonna make no money. So you have this false illusion like, hey, I can go make money in college and get this deal.
Hmm.
Nah, it's not that simple.
Hmm.
It's more rigid. They're gonna have more restrictions. You have to live a certain lifestyle. So I think the biggest thing of it, for me that hits home is like my dad told me when I walked on. He said, if you want to be in the NFL, you want to be great, you got to live a certain lifestyle. If you want to be Ray Lewis, you got to live a certain lifestyle. You want to be Tom Brady, you got to live a certain lifestyle. Those guys study the game. Ed Reed, they study the game. So you got to live that lifestyle. And I think that kind of propels them to live that lifestyle. So that is good in that nature. Um, but it just putting a lot of more vultures around those kids who are youngins trying to figure it out. And a lot of money at the table, big decisions. That's rough.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm with you. I'm with you in the sense I do believe in player compensation. And one of the reasons I believe in it is because the fact that the NCAA put itself in this position, they were so strict as far as what student athletes can get, as far as financing goes, as far as endorsement goes. I personally felt that if they would have just let these kids get endorsements when
Hmm.
they were playing the game, not necessarily coming from the university or a collective. Let's say if Coca Cola, going back, I'm going to go in the 90s a bit. If Coca Cola wanted Gino Torretta to do a commercial spot for them, they should have let Gino Torretta do a commercial spot for them because it's private companies are going to these athletes and paying them to do so.
Right.
But because they were no, you can't do that. We can use Ken Dorsey's body in a video game,
Right.
but no, that's not Ken Dorsey. That we could use the exact body type of Willis McGahee, but that's not Willis McGahee.
Right. Right.
It's
Right.
his number, it's his physique, but it's not him. Come on, so if they would have just let that be, look, I'll give you an example. I had a student that she was brilliant. She was brilliant. She got a full scholarship to FIU. I forgot
Nice.
what she's studying, but she got a full scholarship to FIU. She can go work at a law firm as a paralegal, make her money, make us whatever,
Yeah.
$80,000 a year, whatever they want to pay her, and still keep her scholarship over at FIU. Student athletes going to do that. So the whole thing, with
Yeah.
governors getting involved and name, image, and likeness and whatnot, that's good for players. My only thing is I have an issue. The only issue I have is you're coming in as a freshman. You haven't thrown a touchdown pass yet at
Mhm.
your school, and you're getting a $4 million contract. That ends up being a $12 million contract every single for however long you play at that school. And that's where I think the vultures come out. That's where
Yeah.
I think you get um you won't get teams like the 2001 Canes. You won't get those teams like
No.
the Alabamas of the early to mid 2010s. You won't get those schools like the Clemsons that were so dominant because now why should I stay here when I can go somewhere else, make more money, and get on the field quicker?
Yeah.
Especially with the
Definitely.
transfer, everything being such a wild west. There has to be some structural organization where you get what you earn. This is the way it is, and then you build from there.
Right. Definitely. could we not look at the possibility of, say, I'm a business owner. I went to West Virginia University.
Hmm.
I see a kid that's going, and maybe I can influence them by say, hey, I give you an NI deal if you go to West Virginia. Will we not see predatory activity like that? Like, come on, like we open the kids up to the Shark Tank of vultures, and there's money everywhere, and so you're giving them more options than what they can handle at the moment,
Hmm.
and so no, I don't. I think it's you creating an issue, you're creating a problem that is not benefiting the kids.
Hmm.
So like the money becomes the bigger issue. Like you said, Ken Dorsey, man, I love Ken Dorsey. I used to watch, used to watch him all the time, man.
Yeah.
So like we go back to video games. Image and likeness. Just watching myself on the video game, and I'm like, bro, that's me. Like, 35, that's me. That's me right there. I'm a walk on. Hold on, now. They got the walk on out there running down the field. And it was awesome because we didn't know this. I think when kids really start noticing this and when we started adding the roster and the names to the game, and that's when we noticed that, hold on, wait, that's really us. Like that's me right there. And when we had those things happen, it's like I actually one of my good buddies, a dude that played on the football team with me at WU, he is one of the petitioners for that class act. Actually,
Okay.
he studied law after graduating from WU. His name is Sean Austin. Played running back for us. Got a lot of playtime. You look him up, Sean Austin. He's one of the guys that's on there that petitioned for that class act suit. So it was actually pretty awesome being a teammate of mine and alumni who actually thought about that. How would it affect us? So it's interesting to see, man. I don't think it's later on, years later, we have found out how did it affect the game. We don't know
Yeah.
now, but we have to be very careful of this wild wild west mentality we're creating for these kids. But I'm not surprised though to see kids now switching schools left and right in the portal. But imagine, I imagine there was some type of portal back open when coaches can have a great season with a team and we go into a bowl game and then don't show up for the bowl game and be with a new team in the spring.
Hmm.
Like that right there, when I seen that happen in West Virginia, right when I got there with Rich Rod and Bill Stewart, I realized how it's a business. It's not about us. It's not
Hmm.
about the kids. It's not about the athletes. It's a business. It's always been a business. But now when we start to take out and separate who's the players of the game, now it separates them and it creates an issue where now the kids have to be compensated or taken care of. And so I respect that part of it, compensate them. But now let's find a way that we can find some type of middle ground compromise
Yeah.
to protect everybody.
Yeah, like I was fine with you get one transfer, you set out a year if you want to transfer again, unless it's a dire situation. But now you got guys that they go to a school, they practice, they they don't like their position after spring, they're gone.
Hmm.
And um okay, I have a problem with that.
Right.
I mean I get it, but I have a problem with that. That's just not something that I think should be that easy. And should be that easy. There has to be, like, even coaches, unless they're fired, they don't leave middle of the season. They
Right.
leave after a season, they leave, after a bowl game. It all depends. And they
Excuse me.
usually, if they have some respect, and integrity,
Yeah.
they'll tell their players, this is why I'm gone.
Hmm.
Like Coach Cristobal told his players, hey, I'm going to Miami, and the players understood it's home. So they kind of, I mean, the the $10 million or $8 million contract he got, pretty helped his decision. But
Right.
that's but that's always been his dream job. We've all known that. That's always been his dream job. So the players
Right.
understood. But it was at the end of the season, they kind of understood. The recruits knew, hey, I'm going to, you come with me, or you could stay, with the next coach or wherever else you want to go. So there's a bit of an understanding there. But like, oh, I'm at this university. I sign a letter of intent. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm gone. It's like,
Right.
it's like there's no commitment.
No.
You know, as far as that goes. And I remember a story. I believe, yeah, it was Edrin James was talking to Clinton Portis,
Oh,
and
nice.
Clinton was basically like, I forgot. I'm summarizing and I'm trying to remember. So anybody in the chat section could, if you remember what exactly was said, But Clinton was like, I don't want to come if you're here, and it's and Edwards like, why? You scared of competition? You sort of work hard. It was that attitude,
Right.
and Clinton's like, damn, okay, I'm sorry, I'm coming to the U, and it worked out for Clinton Portis. He won a national championship, and I'm having a pretty good career in the NFL. So
Exactly.
that element is not. A lot of people are afraid that element is gone, or it's going to disappear because I don't like my position, I'm gone. I'll go
Yep.
play at Connecticut, and I'll get a better. That's what I'm afraid that it could lead to a future for the game.
No, definitely, and that's what I tell a lot of my athletes and kids I come in contact with now. And coach asked me one time. He says, "How do you build, a legacy? How you build, those type of teams that UM used to have back in the '90s and 2000s? Those dynasty type teams. But you look at it, it goes with what you just said. Then you got Adrian James and Clinton Porter's in the same backfield, the same practice field. That is huge. So
Hmm.
you having that chemistry and rubbing off on each other, and okay, now two different type of running styles, right? But now I can learn a little bit from you. You can learn a little
Hmm.
bit from me, and now hold on, I'm that much more of a better athlete. And so you build up this depth. At one point, UM was overloaded, like Tommy Streeter, Darius Johnson, all those guys. When they was going there, I mean, they was UM was loaded with players. You guys had everybody from all the way down to the third depth chart. Like that
Yeah.
person is 4-star, 3-star, 3.5-star recruit, and you have that. When you have that, those kids who's in there and they buy into the program, they stay in the program. What happens? You build, they bond, and so now that becomes a winning team. So why we see so many teams that was winning back to back, back to back, back to back? Because you had those players and you built that team, you built that camaraderie. You got a ninth graders JV team in high school that stay together. By the time they're seniors, they're going to be pretty good. They're going to be
Hmm.
awesome together. Whatever buys in and whatever leaves within that time frame doesn't matter. But if you keep the core of that team together, there's going to be a special bond. That team's going to have a special team. If whatever missing pieces comes in, that makes them even better. But the thing is, you have to build with the people that are there, and they have to stay there. If
Hmm.
people don't buy in, you cannot build it. And you're not going to have that dynasty. It's only going to last a year or two, and because now what you're bringing in, they don't have that atmosphere. It's not conducive to them, so they're not breathing in that competitive edge. That when you have all these guys in the back, these great players there, um, and you lose out, man.
Hmm.
And that's why you don't. I guarantee you this. This would be my prediction, right? When it comes to the collegiate football or any collegiate sport, any teams when you see them win back to back, check how long they have been working together and
Hmm.
look at how many kids are they retaining from that freshman or that sophomore class, and watch and see. That's how you build dynasties. It's all about people staying, not what you bring in. I mean, I think it's ever since we've seen LeBron James say, "I'm taking my talents to Miami." We this transfer portal idea is is has gone berserk, and we've seen it. It don't always work. You got the big three with Miami Heat. It worked. The first year they couldn't win. They worked for 2 years. What they did, they went back to back 4 years in a row. Why?
Hmm.
Because they built that camaraderie. They competed, and there was a certain level of starism that was just there because everybody was their own stars and their own ways and rights. But they competed and used that.
Hmm.
They went back to back. Ever since then, everybody's in this. Oh, let me go get with this guy because this guy. No, I tell my receivers now, you need a receiver on the other side of the ball that's going to put up 1,000 yards. If you put up 1,000, you need him to put up 1,000.
Hmm.
Why is that? Because if you put up 1,000, he putting up 1,000. If you put up 1,000 and there's nobody over there putting up 1,000, I'm gonna double team you. Now, when you got another receiver on the other side putting up 1,000, they can't double team either one.
Hmm.
Now, so it's gonna give you the chance to shine. But now you can shine with somebody else, and it makes it fun again.
Hmm.
The game is fun. You're gonna lose fun. You're gonna lose dynasties. And you're gonna lose that camaraderie with people, and them actually pushing each other to be better. That's what we're gonna lose out on the genuine thing of life. That that I will say the natural selection of athleticism. Like it's gonna wean itself out, but we're avoiding the process. Why? Can't avoid the process.
Hmm.
The kids gotta compete, and so you gotta hang in there. You can't up and leave. And I think that's the biggest thing now. What are we teaching? And I think that's the NCAA. That's your policy. That's your procedures. That's what you're
Hmm.
there for. You're here to enforce and protect, and not just the financial, the physical. You got to protect the mental stability of what's going on now. You have to. Today's age is all about the mental, but we don't. We got to put things in place to practice and protect those things and reevaluate after 2 years. Let's reevaluate this portal thing after 2 years.
Yeah, you can't. The transfer portal should only be used to plug in some holes that you don't have on your team, and maybe to slightly add a little bit of depth. Like for example, there's a gap between your quarterbacks. Like you have a senior and a true freshman. You want to have that guy that maybe has been playing a couple of years, kind of like what the Canes did this year with Reese Poffenbarger. You
Hmm.
don't want to rely on a transfer portal every single year because you will never build continuity. You can't have mercenaries on your team to win a championship. It's just not going to work. Teams that I feel that have a bunch of transfers. Uh, they're, I mean, it depends on scheming and stuff like that, but I don't think that consistently there will be, winners in
No.
the future. You have to like what the phrase is used a lot, stack talent. You stack that
Yep.
talent, use a transfer portal, plug in some holes, and then when you're seasoned, your guys, your freshmen, your sophomores are seasoned, then you let them take over. Like I'll give you an example before we move on to our next segment. I was overhearing on one of the Canes shows that, well, maybe next year the Canes go for maybe get another transfer quarterback. And I've told my friends that do podcasting with me, I don't
Yeah.
want another transfer portal quarterback. I want either Reese Poffenbarger or Emery Williams to take the reins.
Yeah.
And then later on Luke Nickel, who's a four, should be a 5-star quarterback out of Georgia, to be the next, Ken Dorsey, to be the next Gino Torretta. That's what I
Yeah.
want. I want my homegrown talent. We need a Cam Ward because Van Dyke had a bad year and Emery Williams was too green, and Ja'Cory, for it just didn't work out with him here at the university in the long run for what they want to do
Right.
schematically. But the bottom line is, I don't want, and I'm saying this, it's recorded and it's out there. I do not want Miami to pursue another quarterback in the offseason.
No.
No, I want either Emery or Reese or Judd, to fight for that
Yep.
position of
Yep.
QB1, and that's it. No more transfer portal quarterbacks, please. No more hired guns. That's what I want, for this season, for next season. Okay,
Right.
because
Definitely.
then,
I agree
because
with you.
then why, because no, if I'm a quarterback, why would I want to go to your school if you're always going to bring a veteran every single year? What's the point of doing that? Why would I do that? So
Exactly. Exactly. Like
so why
no.
would I, so why would I, oh, I'm a 5-star, you're a 5-star. I'm not. You're not going to develop me. You're just going to
No.
bring another hired gun. So that's where. So Miami, if you're listening, whoever's listening to this podcast, I'm sorry, you're Cam Ward. I'm happy, but when he's done and he goes to the NFL, you're Reese, Emery,
Yeah.
or Judd. Those are the guys that should be competing for QB1 next season. No one else coming from another school.
Most definitely. You gotta use what you got, man, and develop it.
Exactly.
Uh,
Absolutely.
that's the biggest thing, man. I love it. I think that's the process of life. Anything that can be developed, you run from that beautiful process. You're gonna get, like you said, you're gonna get your gunslingers. They're
Yeah.
gonna be hot when they're hot, and when it's not, it's cold, man.
Yeah. No, absolutely.